Well, you came on, so I assume you got some sort of notification, but yeah, other people have complained about that as well. It says we've got 23 people right off the bat, so that's a good amount of viewers, but don't forget to like the stream, everybody, because it helps me out. It seems they share them better, the more likes I get, the more viewer interaction. So, it says 30 viewers now, so if we can get that up to 30 likes, that would be brilliant. Yeah, this is like a weird cheap hunting mask thing I bought, but it's actually, I've used it in a few camo tests and it's quite good for that. It's linked in with the theme of this video. Alright, Peach? Yeah, the Soviet SS Leto camo I've got on is a lot more effective than this one, but this is like one of those real tree kind of rip-off designs, but it's alright. It's just sort of autumn shade woodland colours, you know, like tree branches and things like that. I'd have to be wearing urban camouflage or dressed as a gas mask, wouldn't I, to be camouflaged in here? I hope you're not watching it while driving, Heavy Trooper, but hopefully you're just a passenger, are you, and this is now your entertainment. Yeah, it's very strange, but on Weapon Collector's channel it keeps turning the bell off for me, and now it's not been doing it for a while. Wouldn't really be effective though if you had this hood in black though, would it? Because that wouldn't really work as camouflage, I suppose, unless you're meant to be a ninja or something. If you're driving, how are you typing? I've got, I think, one balaclava, but I don't really have any need for them because it's never cold enough in the UK, so this acts like a balaclava and it's more adjustable. Because it's got the, if I take my glasses off I can show you, it's got the bit on this. So you can tighten the drawstrings. Then you could just have just a tiny bit of your face showing, well, your eyes, to obviously see out of, but it makes it hard to see your face. Anything as these things are still sort of visible, but I suppose you could probably tuck them out of the way a little bit. But anyway, I'll open this back up again and put my glasses back on. If I have it open a bit more, it won't steam up my glasses as much. Oh, that's cool, Celtic Productions. Not properly, Jacob, because I don't have any of the proper decontamination materials. And that's where I'd be very wary about giving people advice if it's going to turn out, you know, that it could endanger them. Don't know what you mean by that, but it's the casualty masks are designed for people that have been wounded so they can wrap the mask around their head without putting straps on, especially if there's a head wound. Ah, good you're on though, Mike. But yeah, that's annoying because a few other people have said they didn't get notifications properly for this, which is going to be irritating if it starts not notificating people. If we can see if we can get the likes up a bit, please. It's at 21 concurrent viewers and 21 likes, so hopefully that will go up. But as said, when people like the streams, it seems to actually help them get shared. But anyway, what this stream's about is the survival stream. So hopefully on this one we can talk about all sorts of like shit hits the fan kind of things, survival scenario things, industrial, natural disasters, and it can be a stream themed around sort of survival kind of things. Red and green camo, which one do you mean, Peach? I've got a red camo that's like a red urban one, which is kind of like a joke camo, because I think originally it was developed as a type of urban camo, and then they said it looked silly and they never did it anymore, but it became a fashion thing. Unless you mean like Flecktarn, that's sort of red and green, but it depends on which generation of Flecktarn. Okay, so I didn't know that. Yeah, so if somebody's streaming, then you get a red dot next to the name on subscriptions. I think I vaguely knew that, but I don't really see subscription lists on the side of my YouTube page anymore. How the layout is, it just generally kind of recommends me subscribe videos. That's Soviet SS Leto, which is a copy, like a modified copy of a German World War II camo, I think called Oak Leaf. Right, so what we'll talk about, because obviously I want to keep the stream on topic, is if anybody's got any interesting disasters to bring up. Has anybody been watching HBO's Chernobyl? Because the first episode of that's been out now for a few days, so I think people might have had a chance to watch it. But that was very good, episode 1. I think there's going to be 5 episodes in total. It's very similar so far to the BBC's Surviving Disaster sort of version of Chernobyl, but obviously a much higher budget and made to be, you know, like 5 episodes rather than 1 episode. Yeah, some rifles have hollow stocks. The Lee Enfield up there's got a hollow stock where you could put stuff in it. I think Weapon Collector did that on one of his crossbows. Let's have a look. Oh, is that Alpenflage, Chris? Yeah, Alpenflage. I've got Why did I call you Chris? Peach, even. Yeah, let me. I've shown that a few times. Let's see if I can get it down without messing up my entire thing. There's a shirt in Alpenflage. I've also got some trousers in Alpenflage as well. But yeah, that's a cool camo. I like Alpenflage. It's more effective than you'd think it would be, because I've done a camo test of this. It was during the autumn. But, you know, it works surprisingly well. It's quite a good camo. Apparently it's based on a German World War II camo. But the thing is, I've not seen many pictures of the actual German World War II one, so it's hard to say how closely it is based on that, or if it's just people saying, oh, it's based on that, but, you know, it's not really like some people saying, oh, the AK is just a rip-off of the Sturmgewehr 44, even though there's, you know, it's not. There's some design similarities, but the action's different, the gas system's different, you know, all that sort of stuff. Could I try clapping to see if it's out of sync with the audio? Right, there you go. Generally, though, if you refresh your page or lower the quality settings, that won't be an issue. But in terms of me looking on OBS, the mic is doing the thing exactly when I speak. So there shouldn't be anything less than like half a second at most delay on that. But you also can get the pouches that go on the back of rifles as well, like, you know, on the stock, where they're like Velcro or like clip-on, like Velcro kind of bags or whatever. And they're quite useful as well if you get one that doesn't get in the way. So some rifles you could potentially have a lot of stuff in the stock, and then you could also have some stuff on the stock in a separate bag. So you could probably store quite a lot that way. Now I have to look that one up. Let me just do that now. But I find a lot of industrial disasters quite interesting. So it was a fireworks depot that exploded. It actually killed a lot of people then. Oh, it was nearly 800 kg of TNT equivalent. So that was nearly a kiloton then of, yeah. So, in terms of explosive force, that was actually more powerful than some of the very small nuclear weapons. Obviously nowhere near as big as things like the, you know, like actual atomic bombs of World War II, but things like it's more powerful technically than a Davy Crockett. So there's actually a crater there as well now. Huh. I mean, I don't know what you'd do in a scenario like that, because if it was an initial big explosion, you probably couldn't do much, could you, unless you'd evacuated the area when you knew it was on fire. You'd have to completely take the filter off Ajax. Unless you do that, then there still could be asbestos in the hose, so I wouldn't really recommend it. I mean, if there's a nuclear plant meltdown, I think acid rain's probably the least of your worries, in all honesty. For example, when the Chernobyl disaster happened, the whole world was really fortunate there wasn't heavy rain during the disaster, because what would have happened is that would have been more water going into the sort of meltdown area, which would have obviously caused massive problems. So, yeah, Windscale fire, that was the British nuclear fire, wasn't it? I'll have to Google it to refresh my memory, but wasn't that where something burned in one of the chimneys or something like that? I have a feeling, though, that Windscale wasn't that bad, was it? Although it says it's the worst nuclear accident in British history in terms of nuclear accidents. But yeah, I certainly wouldn't want to live close to a nuclear power plant, regardless of the design, because the thing is, nuclear energy in theory is totally safe if nothing goes wrong, but there's just so many factors with nuclear that worry me. You know, like, obviously, the worst case scenario is something like Chernobyl, where you've got a staff that weren't trained properly in operation of the plant doing, like, a dodgy safety procedure, and then you've got flaws in the actual reactor design itself, which all accumulates to make a massive disaster. But then, even in things like the Fukushima one in Japan, the staff there were properly trained and they did everything right when the disaster happened, but there was obviously no way they could have stopped a tsunami hitting the plant. Yeah, I might do more parody PSA kind of things. I don't think there'll ever be a real war with China like that, in a sense. I mean, there could be sanctions and, like, proxy wars, but I don't think any country wants a major war with China, and China wouldn't want a major war with, you know, anybody else. Like, there could be conflicts over the South China Sea and border countries, maybe. I don't want this to get too political, this stream. I mean, we can be a bit more lenient with this one, as it's a, you know, like, survival-based one, but ideally, you know, not like us to start saying, is this country to blame for something or that country to blame for something. Well, it depends, Jacob. I have very similar views to Weapon Collector on this, that initially, you'd only want to trust, like, your friends or family or something like that. Then later on, like, further down the line, you might want to branch out a bit more, but I think if there's an initial big kind of disaster going on, you don't want to really trust anybody. It's 3 Mile Island, isn't it? Shot Zombie, not 2 Mile Island? Or is there another nuclear disaster on the even smaller Mile Island? Yeah, weirdly, has anybody seen a film called The China Syndrome? Because apparently what happened in that was very similar to what actually happened in the real 3 Mile Island incident. Not easily Marsh Metro, no. Yeah, the thing is, like, what you're saying about Windscale and 3 Mile Island, why it's obviously bad they happened. I don't think, in all seriousness, they're that big, are they? Because, like, you'd have Fukushima as 2 and Chernobyl as 1. And they're, like, the big incidents. But, you know, I don't think you'd really consider some of the others. If you get what I'm getting at, like, I'm not saying they're good, it's just that because Chernobyl was such a big scale incident, that if you say something's like, oh, it's the 3rd worst nuclear disaster, it's not necessarily that bad. No, unfortunately, there's no way you can send anything to me other than the sort of Patreon support or anything like that, just because I wouldn't trust giving my address out to random people on the internet. It's a Halloween free parody, but we're on about a survival stream on this one, so we need to keep it on topic. What country was that in, i.e. was that in the Netherlands or was that somewhere else? It's going to probably depend on availability of ammunition, I'd imagine. Like, I'd say that for, like, lots of survival things, because you have to think long term, how much could you store of a certain ammo, and things like that. So, I suppose SKS cartridges, 7.62x39mm, are going to be a bit smaller for storage than something like 12-bore shotgun cartridges. But overall, I don't think it would make much difference if you're on about theoretical zombies. But I think for theoretical zombies, you'd basically just want a 22 long rifle or, you know, like 223, 5.56, because all you need is a small cartridge where you do clean headshots. You know, and you can carry as much ammunition as possible. Yeah, if you've got a 100% off-grid house and, you know, like you can actually sustainably live on it, that is the best possible thing. Unless something really weird happens, you know, that you can't account for. But in terms of, yeah, in some sort of scenario where there's problems in urban areas or there's some sort of environmental disaster on a road or rail line. I've got loads of camo. Watch my camo collection video and you'll see the majority of the camos I've got in that one. So yeah, I didn't actually catch in the chat, did anybody say that they'd watched that episode of HBO Chernobyl, the first one? Because lots of people were on about it prior to it being on, but I don't know if I've seen many people yet say, oh, I watched it and I liked it, or I watched it and I didn't like it. Alright, cool. Is that all done then, Peach? Not good, not terrible. You took the words out of my mouth. Yeah, that sounds like you're in a very good position then, Shot Zombie, for that sort of stuff. But yeah, Chernobyl's really interesting. I was having a conversation with a friend earlier. One of the, I suppose you could say, good things about Chernobyl is, other than the initial thing, was that it actually happened in the Soviet Union, because with the liquidators and everything, they were able to get all this manpower and military equipment together very quickly to start, you know, almost fighting the radiation. Whereas, if you imagine it happening in some Western countries, I literally don't think you'd be able to get everything together in time. And, you know, if you weren't in some sort of authoritarian state, I imagine some people might go, oh, fuck that, I don't want to be irradiated, I'm not helping you clean this up. So I think in some ways, a disaster like Chernobyl happening in the Soviet Union was good in the sense that, you know, they had all the resources to throw at it. Where if that happened somewhere else in Western Europe, I think it could have easily got a lot worse. because although they might have been slightly better initially at dealing with the problem and being a bit more open about it, once it came to actually trying to, send people to their deaths, exposed to huge amounts of radiation in the cleanup work, I imagine the logistics of doing that would have been impossible. I'd like to learn, Richard. I mean, I imagine I'd be really shit at it, because I'm really shit at lots of things like that. I might do next year if I get time and money. I'm a ghost, but this isn't the spooky stream. We used to grow some stuff in the garden. I think in the garden there's still a rhubarb patch that, every year you can get some rhubarb from. We used to have a pear tree, but that ended up getting so old and manky that we ended up cutting it down. But we've got a plum tree in the garden now. So there's a bit of fruit you'd get from the garden, but not much. My granddad was one of those sort of people that had, a garden set out with stuff growing everywhere in it and greenhouses and everything. I suppose that's because he was somebody used to rationing that he would sort of do something like that. But yeah, if you can obviously on your own land grow all your own food and be as self-sustainable as possible, that's obviously a good thing. Yeah, they had to drain essentially the water from underneath, because if the molten reactor core sort of materials went through the floor, like where the elephant's foot was, that would have caused a thermonuclear explosion. Because didn't they estimate the actual explosion itself would be about 3 to 5 megatons, but then it'd be like a massive dirty bomb, because there'd be all that irradiated material just thrown everywhere all over Europe. But they thankfully survived, those guys, which is really surprising. But they all came forward, years later. And I think some of them might have some health problems. But, why you think that would have been certain death diving in, the radiation level in the water there wasn't as bad as, some of the outside areas of the plant. I think it should be more relaxed than it is, but I don't think, as I've said quite a few times, I don't think changing to the US's system, would work very well for us. What do you mean when you say rebuild Chernobyl? Do you mean like rehouse people in Pripyat or stuff like that, or do you mean rebuild the plant to be working? Because after the disaster, they did keep using, I think, reactor 1 to 3 for quite a long time, because it was 2 gigawatts of power or something like that of power it produced, and they needed it for Ukraine. But I think now they have finally shut down all the other reactors at Chernobyl. We were just saying that, Shot Zombie, because I've just seen your comment come up. I wouldn't say Australia's current system is ideal, because they did ban lots of things a while ago. But I suppose you'd have to just see what the radiation levels are like, wouldn't you? But the thing is, you'd have to knock down lots of the old sort of crumbling tenement buildings and rebuild them. So there's probably no point, to be honest, because Ukraine's a very big country. So there's probably no point in trying to settle a town that's already there. But I thought earlier when I was watching some Chernobyl documentaries, it would be very interesting if there was like an alternative history movie where they didn't prevent the second explosion, and then having a film set where lots of Europe has become uninhabitable or whatever due to radiation, but not from a nuclear war or anything like that, but from what's essentially a giant dirty bomb of an entire power plant exploding and throwing all the, radioactive materials everywhere. Yeah, Red Forest is still there. Don't know what you mean by that, Elias, but if you mean like on the walls, there's no way I can do it other than that. I can't put a big gun board up like Weapon Collector as much as I'd like to, because the walls wouldn't take the weight. Yeah, I wouldn't mind quite strict mag limits shot zombie if they were. As long as they enforced it properly, I don't see why they couldn't say you could have rifles above 22 long rifle, in semi-auto. It's just the mags have to be incredibly restricted. I don't get what you're saying when you say that ARP Warden. It's called a dirty bomb. That's the technical name for it. Yeah, all ones where you've got an internal magazine in the gun where you can obviously load a certain amount of rounds in, but you can't quick change the mag. Yeah, it's been raining off and on here all day because when I was volunteering I was quite lucky with the times where I didn't get too wet with the rain, but it was still one of those things of, I didn't want to go out and do anything interesting today just because it was raining. Yeah, but I couldn't make any videos whatsoever ARP Warden if I had to avoid all sorts of words all the time, so I'm not going to do that. Wouldn't mind getting a DAC There's a few sites that have them for around 200 quid, but at the moment I don't know if I want to spend that, to be honest, on anything. Oh, we've just been talking about that, but the answer is yes. I'm looking forward to the other episodes. Infantry rifles, I've got the Lee Enfield behind me, the SLR, an RPK, and the M1 carbine, so that's 4. I've also got a PPSH, but that's a submachine gun technically. Well, we were, I think, just more on about shot zombie DIAC SKSs. I think that's what Peach was on about. Yeah, you did say DIAC. But yeah, I know with the real SKS you can actually mod them somehow, can't you, to take AK mags, because there's videos where people load them up with AK mags because it's like the same cartridge. Yeah, see, that's tempting, but I don't know at the moment if I'd want to spend that, just because, as I said, in a month or two I'm buying a new PC, hopefully, so I'm going to be dropping a couple of grand on that probably, so I just don't want to spend money I don't have to spend at the moment. Yeah, as long as it's 22 long rifle in semi-auto it's legal, it's just not any caliber above that. So for example, like 5.56 is illegal in a semi-auto, or like 7.62 is illegal in a semi-auto over here, but 22 long rifle is legal in a semi-auto. It's weird how it all works like that. Yeah, I'd love a working one, but sadly I'm in the UK. But yeah, regarding Chernobyl, I will probably buy that on the box set, like the Blu-ray box set, when that finally, all the episodes come out and they release it as a box set. I don't know yet, because not all the components are out, big boy. It will just literally be, once all the components are out, July, August sort of time, probably 2 to 3 grand, I would imagine, for an entire pre-built. I'm going to use it on this monitor I'm currently using, but this current PC I've got I'll keep as a spare. But I'll be buying like all new hard drives for it, everything. I want to just get a PC off the bat that works, and I can play modern games on, and most importantly render 1080p videos in less length than the video itself. So a 10-minute video I'd rather render in 10 minutes or less, not 25 odd minutes it takes at the moment. And then if you're doing a long video and there's a glitch in the video or whatever, and you have to re-render it, then that's a real pain in the ass. Because sometimes I'll have a video that fails to render a few times in a row, and then you end up, wasting like 2 or 3 hours just attempting to render, having it crash partway through rendering, or like the audio screwing up in the video and just repeating. But yeah, if we can try and keep the chat to survival stuff ideally, because that's what this stream's meant to be about. In a bunker, I'd guess toilet noob, or do you mean like a nation? Because if you're in a nation somewhere like Switzerland, assuming that it's not a nearby country that's had a meltdown in a power plant, because Switzerland's got lots of bunkers and they aren't a nuclear power themselves, they probably shouldn't be a target for nuclear weapons. But it depends what you mean like that, because it's somewhere remote out the way is probably the best place. Oh, because they can get the Chinese stuff. Shots on me, and also probably the Russian stuff. Anyway, as I said, we're going to keep it a survival stream, so I don't want to keep getting sidetracked talking about other things, so I'm just going to ignore questions at the moment that aren't related to talking about survival type stuff, because that's why it's a theme stream. But as I've said to people before quite a lot on here, there's no point me, in a sense, prepping for a lot of stuff just because I'll die without medication. So there's no point. Well, the thing is, not many nations technically do flak jackets anymore. If you just mean all-round body armour, I've got the British Mark IV Osprey armour, which is pretty good. I've also got that police Kevlar vest in the background, minus the riot armour on top of it. And that would be pretty good as in terms of the flak jacket, just the Kevlar panels in it. But like actual thick ballistic nylon flak jackets or thick Kevlar flak jackets don't seem to be as common now because, you know, everybody uses plate carriers for actual military use. Oh yeah, you've got problems, haven't you, with the filters, because it's going to depend again on the scenario. If you're just using particle filters on a mask, or NBC filters but only for filtering particulates like radiation or something like that, then you can potentially have a mask last ages, because you only would need to switch the filters out when the first one becomes so clogged you couldn't breathe through it. But if it was a situation where you'd need to swap the filters out every few hours due to vapour threats, you'd go through your filters very quickly. I'm not going to do that on this stream. I've got this headgear on for this stream. Yeah, you could certainly drink soups, couldn't you, through a drinking tube, but I don't know how you clean a drinking tube that well, because I don't know if you then start getting stuff going off inside the drinking tube. That's cool. Let me click on your channel if it lets me go to your channel. No, it doesn't anymore. Thanks, YouTube interface. But I'll check that out at some point, mate. Oh, it's just a model of filter, I'd assume, big boy. Probably means model free filter. Yeah, I suppose that's a simple solution, isn't it, Mr. Doublehead? As long as you drink enough water, once you've drunk the soup through the tube, most of it should come out. Yeah, I'd agree with that, Rich. You see a lot of people, don't you, in survival sort of films of PCP air guns, but unless you had lots and lots of air tanks stored around, I just prefer a brake barrel. And the reason I like a brake barrel for just plinking in the garden is that, you know, I'm not at a time limit where I'm shooting, so, you know, I just rather shoot a bit slower and keep loading it each time. Well, what you'd have to do, Jacob, is specify a certain scenario. Right, let me just do that, mate. Ah, yeah. Alright, I've got that open in a tab, so what I'll do is I'll watch it once I've finished doing the stream, thank you. So yeah, is this the one uploaded in August the 12th, 2016, or is there a different one? Well, mostly because European countries bought the FM12 in bigger numbers than the US, I'd imagine. Army aloof. Yeah, I'm not too bad today, thank you, Killstrike. My colitis has been a bit all over the place recently. Like, I had a bad flare-up, I think it was like a month ago. and that's been slowly coming under control, but you have days where it fluctuates. So if you imagine like a spike is worse, you can have a spike, it can peak off quite high, then you can slowly have it going downhill, but it can be a bit like that when it's going downhill again, or improving, however you want to look at it. So some days I won't need many painkillers, and then other days I need more painkillers, and stuff like that. In a short type scenario spike, I'd say so, yeah. Because you'd be able to, especially if you had, like one with a rotary magazine, whatever it's called, you'd be able to get more shots off. But I think what Richard means is in a long-term scenario, where you might have to, use it for longer periods. You don't want to be lugging an air tank around with it or anything like that. Right, let me finish my coffee off, and don't forget you can buy the merchandise if you actually want it. So, yeah, economic meltdown. So, it's like an urban survival kind of thing. Well, I'd certainly not want to be dressed up like cop or military for that. Because you might be a target if you're dressed up like that. So I'd want kind of easy to blend in civilian clothes for something like that. In terms of armour, lightweight armour, like that police stab vest behind me, you can always wear that under a coat if you need to. So you've got a bit of stab and basic bullet protection, as in like pistol rounds, shotgun, birdshot and buckshot. But in terms of a helmet, I mean a riot helmet would be ideal, but you'd want it not to look like a police issue one. So you'd either want a military style helmet that has a visor on it, or you'd want a police helmet that you've probably taken all the police logos off and maybe like repainted or something. Well, I've got a Tassimo machine, I've got instant coffee, and I've got a cafetiere or French press, whatever it's called, and ground coffee beans in the fridge. I'd say out of all of them, the coffee machine makes the best coffee out of a lot of them, because it's the closest to getting a real coffee without buying a proper espresso machine and making your own espressos. But I'm quite acquired to the taste now of just cheap instant coffee. So I like the taste of instant coffee, even if it doesn't taste much like coffee, because it gives you caffeine, and it's got a vaguely earthy taste, I guess. That's cool. Alright, I hope you enjoy it, ARP Warden. Don't forget there's different designs than just the GSR one. There's like a GP5 one and stuff as well. No, I'm not a fan of Starbucks, especially how much Starbucks costs. Like, Costa's expensive over here in the UK. Expensive enough, but Starbucks is even worse. I mostly just use eBay. I can't really recommend you a surplus store because my local one's closed down now. Yeah, like we said before though, Mike, in your stream, there's certain ways you can wear civilian clothes that would give you some camouflage outdoor in the environment as well, but still not stand out. Like, if you had a hunting sort of shooting jacket on in sort of a brown or green colour, those sort of olive shooting jackets, like the Barber ones, that would be pretty good in terms of, at least putting you in natural colours. And you can get lots of just standard, like cargo pants or, other kind of trousers which aren't military ones with camo on, but are still in like shades of grey, green or brown that wouldn't attract attention. I don't think you can quite see the pillow, can you, where my chair is at the moment? Yeah, exactly. Tan or green. Like I was saying, if you go for any kind of brown or green shaded clothes, they don't actually have to have a camo pattern on them, but as long as you're not drawing attention to yourself, I don't think you'd stand out in an urban area with those on. You certainly wouldn't stand out in woodlands, especially if you're trying to conceal yourself. I stream live or live stream at different times. Quite often at 8 PM UK time, when I started this one, or a few minutes after 8. that's when I normally stream most often, but I often stream in the day as well. It depends what day it is, what I'm doing in the day, you know, because some days, but I stream most days. I don't stream Saturday, because I work Saturday and Sunday, so I don't want to stream Saturday evening when I get in, because Mike normally streams Saturday as well, so I just watch his streams on Saturday. Sunday I try and do a stream Sunday evening if I've got the energy, but obviously if I've had a really tiring day at work I might not want to do a stream, so... Yeah, exactly, hiking gear. There's lots of stuff that would be versatile for use outdoors that isn't necessarily milsurp. Yeah, I'd agree, you definitely wouldn't want to be in a city for a lot of survival scenarios. Especially with food shortage, you know, food shortages, fire risks, looting, all that sort of thing. It's not reversible in the sense it's got the same camo pattern on both sides, or it's like a faded version of the same camo pattern, but they do some reversible ones, but this one isn't reversible. I can see this current message, Fico, but I haven't seen any earlier ones. I don't have a Gorka suit. I've got the Ukrainian equivalent of a cold weather Gorka, and that is very good. But it depends how much you're paying for a Gorka suit as well, because a lot of people seem to really rate them, but a lot of sites sell them for ludicrous amounts of money where you're probably getting ripped off. Don't know what you mean by that, big boy. Yeah, that's what I always find silly, Richard, when you see post-apocalyptic films that are based like 20 or 30 years after an apocalypse, and somebody still has a brand new looking compound bow. You'd expect them to have a very simple looking recurve or whatever, but no. They've got compound bows that, you know, don't look like they've ever been shot once. Yeah, there was an interesting thing in the old BBC Survivor series, and when I say the old BBC one, I mean the one from the 70s with Ian McCullochen, or whatever his name is, where they said they couldn't go into London or anywhere like that to loot because, you know, like the smell of decomposing bodies, and then the guy rolls up with like a trader's van and he's got a gas mask on because he wears the mask to go in searching the city so he doesn't smell all the decomposing corpses, which I thought that was quite a nice touch. The suit I'm in at the moment, not really. Depends how many layers you've got on underneath it, but this is like one of the summer ones, where you could wear it with like no clothes underneath in the summer, or if you wanted to, you could have other clothes under it and then you'd be warmer. I think die would be the answer to that, Killstrike Gaming, because there's not much you can do. You can purge the mask in theory, which is where you hold the exhale, you cover the exhale valve and you blow out as hard as you can, and that causes air to force its way out of the mask, you know, out of all the cracks and things like that. But that's the best you could do, but in a serious scenario, you're dead if gas is in your mask. Yeah, exactly, Peach. Like where Mike's got that, like, load of spare strings in his, like, crossbow butt plate. It's that kind of thing. I've not done a waterproof test on it, but I think it's one of these suits where the water wouldn't go through it for quite a while, but eventually it would, if you know what I mean. Where it will pool on the surface for a bit, but once too much water hits it, it will probably start soaking through, so I say water resistant. It's a bit like some, you know, when you get some sort of polyester clothes, it's a bit like that, where the water sits on them for a bit, like more than it would cotton or wool, but, you know, after a while it will go through. Yeah, Mike just answered your question there because I missed it. Oh, thank you, Shepard. Right, this camo, I had to order it from Russia, and luckily there wasn't any problems with customs, but there may well have been. Let me see if I can find you a link. Sometimes the eBay links are too long to actually post in the chat. But if you go on ebay.co.uk, then search SS Lito Camo, let's see if this link works for you. Try this. Click that, see if that link works for you. It looks like it's working. And then see that for about £30 you can get them with free postage to the UK. I've got the cheaper one, like the £30 one. I didn't get the double-sided ones that are like 80 quid. But yeah, the ones that come from Russia or Ukraine for about £30 of free postage, they're the ones I bought. No, Daniel, I keep meaning to set one up because I found out recently I've actually got 2 surplus backpacks that are pretty good. Alright, cool, Shepard. Thank you for the donation. I appreciate that. But yeah, that's where you get one. That's where I ordered mine. And luckily, I didn't have any problems. I've had problems with UK customs before. And I thought, knowing my luck, I'm ordering something from Russia. They're going to think I'm a Russian spy. And they're going to, you know, steal my parcel. And then I had no problems whatsoever with that. But sometimes I can buy, like, clothing from China or whatever. And that never gets through customs. So I really don't know. But yeah, regarding bug-out bags... I found out recently I've actually got 2 bags that would be viable, in terms of like military rucksacks, because I bought not too long ago, or last year, whenever it was, a Belgian, I think it was, sort of waterproof rucksack, which was quite good. And then the other day, I found by accident, I actually had a French surplus backpack I didn't know about, which is almost exactly the same in design. I think the Belgian one's slightly bigger, but they're like waterproofed in the same places. You know, I had to put both bags next to each other to work out which was which, and I totally forgot I had the French one. But one of my friends I haven't seen in ages, called Gilles, he's French, but he's lived in the UK for ages, and his parents are French. And at one point he sold me lots of stuff that his parents had from their national service. So he had like both his parents' national service stuff, and he just sold me a load of it for like 20 quid. And that was like rucksacks, kit bags, ammo pouches, you know, like trousers, shirts, all that sort of stuff. Was there more to that question, Bori, or comment? Because it looks like there might have been a bit more to that. They're real but deactivated, Shepard, meaning they can never fire because they've like ground the firing pins out, welded bits in the barrel. But they were once real firing firearms, yeah. Yeah, I've got 2 Geiger counters and the radiation alarm. I've got a Polish DP66 Geiger counter from the Cold War, which is like, you know, a good old retro one that makes the loud ticking, and it's got a wand. I've got a Polish radiation alarm. I wonder if the radiation alarm I can get out easily. Let me check. I don't know if it's in this room or not. No. Oh yeah, it is. The batteries in it. Well, this is a really retro radiation alarm, so how this works... There's a load of Polish text on the back if you want to read it. I'll just hold that up till it actually... This is called the RS-70. But yeah, how this works is you'd carry this big heavy thing around on you. Then I think this is where I need to find out if I've got batteries in it or not, because if there's not batteries in it, it's not going to work. No batteries in that side. Are there batteries in the other side? No, I haven't got any batteries in it, unfortunately, at the moment. Because it takes like 4 D cells. But how it works is you flick it on here, and it only detects gamma radiation. So gamma has to penetrate it, and then when the gamma gets over a certain amount, I imagine that 0.5 sieverts, or sorry, röntgens, 5 röntgens and probably 30 röntgens. What it does is you can have the buzzer on or off, and it starts flashing and making a really loud buzz. So basically what you do is if you were in a contaminated area, you'd have it set to, let's say, half a röntgen. You'd be walking around with it, and then if it starts going off, you've had your alarm. So it works a bit like a dosimeter, but it's just to warn you that you're basically getting ionised. But yeah, I've got a retro Geiger counter, like the Polish Bakelite equivalent, the DP66. And I've also got... Let's see if I can get the Geiger counter out easily for this stream, because it's quite cool, the old Geiger counter, but my modern Geiger counter is a lot better in terms of getting a reading, because I've got the SOEX Geiger counter. Let me just quickly show you the SOEX one. I've shown this before, but this one, if I was seriously advising somebody getting a Geiger counter, I would say get something like this, just because, you know, having a small Geiger like this is perfect, because what you just do with this, it takes rechargeable batteries. Just put them in. So this one, it detects beta and gamma. I have a feeling it can almost get alpha, but maybe not quite. And what it does is obviously it works like how a Geiger counter should work. So basically, this is like what you'd want from a modern Geiger, really, because it does everything you need in a very small size. But let's see if I can get my old Geiger out. If it's got batteries still in it. It's a bit dusty. Okay, but this is the cool Geiger counter. Old Polish Soviet type one. So there's the lovely bakelite bit inside. So yep, it's still got power, which is good. So it's on K, which is test. Right, let's set it to 200. I think that is of a rot gun per hour, or 0.2 rot gun per hour. And what I'm going to need to do now is get a check source for it. Now, unfortunately, it's going to be very hard to actually show you the meter and everything on this one. But what I can do, here's the wand. In this position, it's got the gamma shield, like the beta shield closed, so only gamma radiation gets in. But what you can do is you can open this up. There we go. And there's your little window for just the beta radiation to get in. So what you then do is you get something that gives it a reading. So let's do that. Let me show you. Let's get the Fiesta ware out, if it runs properly. Because as it says, this one tends to not run as well. Yeah, the Soviet ones in Chernobyl, they're very similar. They're probably exactly the same in terms of electronics, but the box looks a bit different, but they're very similar models. Okay, so let's get out the Fiesta ware. There we go. Good old radioactive red. And then, if I can get it up to the Geiger, I should be able to get a reading. I might have to just do the reset thing. Sometimes it can be a bit temperamental getting it to actually read it, but it should work. I will get back to you once I have a reading coming through. Tell you what I'll do as well is I'll put this in my ear. So let's get the hood down, because I want to be able to hear it when it ticks. But as I was saying, for practicality, compare the size of this to the giant old Geiger, because with this one, see, that's far more practical. It's giving me the alarm for radiation. But this old one, I should be able to get going. It might just take me a minute to sort it out. I've not heard of that one. I'm not an expert on Geiger counters, electric zone. Right, let me just try and get this old Geiger running. I think sometimes you have to let it warm up for a bit. Oh, I'm on the too high reading, that's why. Yeah, this one's weird. The counter starts in rotguns per hour, but then it goes to micro rotguns, so you actually have to, or mini rotguns, whatever it is. So you actually have to turn the counter fully down. So now that's in the lowest setting. Can I get this to start reading? Maybe. You have to have the shield down for it to do gamma, or gamma only. With the shield open it does beta, but sometimes I think the wand gets slightly misaligned. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to just make sure that's all in tight. So what I need to do is, if I can remember how to do it, and that's taking the cable off there. There's a way with these you can, let me just close the housing unit back up. There's a way with these you can detach the wand from the actual that's cool. Yeah, I like Geiger counters, it's just a shame they're so expensive and bulky, the old ones, but I'd love a one with an alpha probe on it. I still keep taking the wrong bit off. Just twist the collar, is that it? Yeah, this is it. Right, there we go. Right, let's expose the electronics a second so you can see what's inside it. I think in theory there's a way of getting that off the thing. But I think sometimes you have to twist this around. Polish one from the 1960s. This one, if you're talking to me. Oh, thank you very much, Shepherd. Alright, thank you very much. I do appreciate that, because you've given me like £12 now this street. But yeah, what we'll do is let me see if I can get this Geiger counter working for everybody. There is 2 different types of tubes in here, so I think it might depend on which one you've got the tube set to. But let me just check, can I get this if I just... Oh, shit, got electric shock from that. Fucking hell, I shouldn't have touched a live wire with it on, should I? But, oh, I think he's getting a reading. Hang on. Was that it, just electrocuting me that gave the reading? Right, thank you, for my sins I've been electrocuted. Right, let me... I want to figure this Geiger out now, because it's annoying me. Right, let's get this bit screwed back on first, because... well, not that bit, but the other bit. You sadly can't, Shepherd, unless you have one of those airtight kind of hood masks. And when I say that, I don't mean a GP5. I mean like the modern Israeli ones with a positive pressure system, like a blower. There's not much you can do, I'm afraid. You'd have to get glasses inserts for a mask. Because, yeah, sadly, there is not a, if that makes sense. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I can appreciate that most people can't donate, but, you know, I do appreciate when people do. But, yeah, you'd need to get inserts, and that's much harder said than done. Even though I wear glasses, I don't have any for any of my masks. Right, let's see if I can get this Geiger finally going. It's going. Right, okay, cool. Right, what I'm going to do is let me put this on the microphone and then you can hear him tick, which is the cool bit. So let's put that there, if it will clip on. You might hopefully be able to hear it from here. I don't know if it's going to pick up well enough. Let me turn the SOX one off a second, because that way you'll hear the classic Geiger. Now let's get the Fiesta ware back up. And the needle's not moving again now. Brilliant. It was doing it just now, and now I've moved it. Maybe it's being really temperamental or something. See, like I said, this is why modern Geiger counters are a lot better. In lots of regards. Because they just seem to work, modern Geigers, whereas this thing is very temperamental, whether it wants to work or not. You'd think Soviet technology would be good in this sort of regard, but it's not. Right, let's see if it, because it was literally, I saw the needle moving just now, so let me just flick it between the settings again in case it has to re-zero. Oxford sort of area. I won't say more than that, just because I've had people sort of wanting to dox me and stuff like that. So there's a dial on here I never noticed before, I think. Yeah, there is a dial on here. Okay, what does this do? Maybe it's not a good idea to unscrew this, but let's just see what this dial does. There's a little screw that's come off, but I don't know what it actually does. Hope I've not completely broken the calibration of the Geiger now. Not that it really matters with a Geiger this old, because I'm never going to use it for practical purposes. Right, let's see if I can get a reading again. There we go. Can you hear that? There's the beautiful crackle of a retro Geiger. And to see how hot the Fiestaware is... Oh, I've not even got it. Hang on. There we go. So, Fiestaware, if we have it set to 0.5 Rotgens, or micro Rotgens per hour, that's off the charts there, with Fiestaware. Then... Right, let's move this to 5. And see if the needle comes back down or not. It's slowly coming down. There we go. So the needle's stopping either between about 50 or 2 and 3, depending on, I guess, which thing it's set to. Right, thank you, Shot Zombie, I appreciate that. I wonder if this is a radium thing on here as well, because it glows in the dark. Let's find out, shall we? Shall we find out if the actual Geiger counter itself is radioactive? I have a feeling this one can't ever get a reading off of this radium watch, though. Oh, it can. Okay. Where's the speaker gone for the Geiger? It's down there. Yeah, the radium watch isn't anywhere near as hot as the yeah, that's up to about 3 on the thing. Whereas, as I said, the Fiestaware, if we swap that around, that Does that. Right, I have an old radium painted watch face in here. So let's try that one. Let's just reset the Geiger again. 0 it. No, it's not getting a reading. I don't have a pancake probe though. No, I don't have any tiger stripes, sadly. Let's handle some radium paint with my bare hands. Don't try this at home. Oh, we're getting a slight reading. A very low one. So nothing substantial. Okay. I've never had any radioactive gas masks, but somebody had asked me at one point, could I do a video just testing old masks to see if I got any radiation off of them, so I suppose I could film that at some point. As I said, it's a 1960s model, although I think this one's dated 1972 looking at the thing. But again, there's loads of different numbers on it, so I wouldn't be too sure. Anyway, let me show you the radium, I think it is, on this. Unless that throws off the Geiger, so you didn't use radium on these. Right, so there's a little dim light that lights up behind the screen. You probably won't be able to see very well. But what I'll do is let me just get my UV torch. And then, wow, look at this. I'm going to turn this light off so you get a bit of a better appreciation for it. So, see that screen there? Shine the UV on it. Ooh, lovely and green. That's really bright. That's interesting, you've got a helmet cover that makes a Geiger tick. But let's bask in the loving green glow of radium, if it is radium on there. So you can read your measurements in the dark, comrade. Do you think that's because they used it in some nuclear test shot zombie, like at Nevada or something, making the troops march through the radiation clouds? Let's chuck the Fiesta Wear over there. Be a bit more gentle for that. Right, if I flick the main light off, this will be even more evident. Now, I just need to go to the live view, not the slightly delayed view I'm getting. So obviously that's quite dark and blue. So if I just do that, shine a light on it, leave it on there for a few seconds. Flick that off. Now there's a bit of screen light reflecting off of it, so let me just turn that off a second. Now to my human eye, in the dark, this is still glowing very brightly. Perfectly readable. I don't know what it's like to you viewers out there. I'll flick the lights back on now. And I'll put this chunky Geiger away. Right, let's flick him back off before I drain my batteries. There we go, he's back off. And I'll tidy up all this radioactive crap later. I need to put the main light back on. Because they wanted to test what the radiation would do to the troops. Basically, ARP Warden, they disguised it as tactical battlefield use. You know, could you nuke an enemy and advance on them quickly enough? I want to stay very legal on this stream, Dylan, but I guess things like bill hooks or crossbows. Well, that's hard to answer, big boy, because lots of them are reliable. My favourite mask is the Avon CT12, but again, different people like different things in masks. Now, what's annoying is I've turned that Geiger counter off now, but I've got like this tinnitus humming in my ear. And what it is because it's an old electronic that uses loads of batteries. You know the old night vision, how it whines? That Geiger counter does that when you turn it on. If you're listening closely enough, you can hear it going sort of very faintly in the background above the ticking. And now that noise is still playing in my head. Avon is a river in the UK, Shepherd. The River Avon. So Avon Rubber, I guess, had their original factory, I'd guess, somewhere along the River Avon. But yeah, let's get back onto the topic of survival kind of things for another 20 odd minutes before I end the stream. Don't forget to like the stream if you've not done it already, and thank you to my donators. I'm very, very happy with that. Thank you. That's nice. But yeah, in terms of survival scenarios, I think if you were ever prepping for something with radiation, you would really need a Geiger counter. Because obviously you can't smell or taste radiation or whatever, so if you didn't have a Geiger or a dosimeter, you'd be pretty screwed, wouldn't you, if you were wandering around having no idea if you were coming into contact with radioactive substances or not. Yeah, it'd be a lot more fun doing it in Poland, I agree, Shepherd. I think nuclear accidents are probably more likely than nuclear wars. But again, I don't want to get too political because I don't want to start saying this country would do this that would set this country off, you know. That's cool, Shot Zombie. Yeah, thank you. But as there's a GP51, Bart's going to do some more designs when he's back from America. So we want to probably get the asbestos t-shirt and hoodie done with like perfectly safe with a skeleton smiling pointing at a Soviet filter or something like that. Are you on about Calvert Hatch, Dylan? Calvert Hatch secret nuclear bunker. With the tunnel completely designed for gunning people down as they tried to storm the bunker in case they were hungry. Well, the main ways of measuring radiation is obviously a Geiger counter. And then you have things called dosimeters, and you can get dosimeters like these, which are combined Geigers and dosimeters, where it measures the current dose like a Geiger, and it shows you a cumulative dose like a dosimeter. But you also get like film badge dosimeters, which are designed to change colour if you've, you know, got to a certain amount of radiation threshold. I've already answered that, Elias. There's not really a best one. It depends what's in your budget, what's available to you in your area. Yeah, but yeah, Calvert Hatch. Yeah, I've been there. But yeah, like I said, there could be lots of scenarios where there's not a full-on nuclear exchange, but you could be exposed to radiation. Because as I said, Chernobyl's obviously the big example, but there's quite a lot of you know, incidents that could involve nuclear waste or whatever. It could also be like a terrorist dirty bomb or something like that. You know, nuclear material could be blown up not as a nuclear weapon, but just blown up conventionally to disperse radioactivity over a large area. Quite a lot, Shepard. If you're interested, I've done a video just called like my camo collection. That's got, I think, all my patterns in there. There's probably a couple that I've bought since that video that aren't in there, but that one will show you nearly all of my camos. But with lots of camos, they might have bits on trousers which I don't have in a matching shirt and all stuff like that. Right, see anybody who's off? Oh, thank you very much, Jimmy. Thank you. I really appreciate that. That's cool, Shot Zombie. I didn't know that. Yeah, thank you, Jimmy. Or Jim XY, if that's how I meant to say your name. Yeah, it's been a very good stream for donations. It's probably my best ever stream for donations, I imagine. Yeah, very good. Well, I'll make sure it goes towards more YouTube stuff, as I always do with like donations and Patreon stuff, but I don't know at the moment. I've got that Chinese M65 gas mask coming, so I suppose it could go towards that in a fit way. I don't know what ideal is, so I don't know. Electric Zone Boy. I wouldn't waste the money on Starbucks. If you like a meme picture in the thing, some of you might enjoy. See how many of you get this. Oh, so when you say you've got that one, do you mean you've got the East German one? Because the name you've posted is the East German one. But, the SHM41 or SHM41 is the Soviet one. Oh, thank you very much again, Shot Zombie, because you support me on Patreon. That's nice, you're giving me extra as well. But yeah, if I ever spot some Blumenthal, I don't think I've ever seen it for sale. I think Dyatlov's the other guy, isn't it? That keeps saying to him, like, oh, it's not terrible, it's only 3 whatever rock guns, when, sadly, though, I don't think I've got a lot of these saved on my PC, because I've been saving them on my phone as I've been seeing them throughout the day, because I was having a chuckle at one of them. Let me just see if I can find a thread with Chernobyl memes in at the moment, and I'll post them. Obviously, I'm not laughing at the people that actually died in Chernobyl, and the liquidators were fucking heroes and everything, but I do find some of the Chernobyl memes quite funny. I'm just seeing at the moment if there's some other good memes posted. There's a couple of versions of that image, with one, if only you knew how bad things really are, and 3.6 rock guns. Or rook guns, however it's pronounced. I'm just seeing if there's some of the other images. Oh, here's a cool one you guys might like that looks like a decontamination thing, but it's got NBC gear on. Let me post this one. And then make it to a size where it doesn't blot out the stream. Yeah, that's quite an interesting picture that's sort of on topic. I'll go back to the comments in a minute because I'm probably missing some. I was just seeing if there was any interesting you know, memes to post. But no, sadly I don't think there's any on there that I haven't seen before. In Soviet Russia, car wash you, I suppose, although it's just guys decontaminating a car, isn't it really? But right, let me I can show you some on my phone, but the pictures won't look all that good on the webcam. I'm not going to send them to myself, you know, at the moment to then send them, put them up on the stream properly. But I'll show you some off my phone screen. Let me just make the screen brighter. Make sure there's no dodgy images that might come up at the same time. Right, here we go. Here's some. I definitely did, Dylan, so please repost it. Oh, thank you, Jimmy, or JimXY, however your name's done. If you support me on there, I can send you a link to Discord. I'd send it to anybody who buys merch or anything, but sadly there's no way of doing it through YouTube or whatever. So that's one. Oh, let me put it on the live picture thing so I can now my phone's being incredibly slow loading up some of the images for some reason. Yeah, there's again, it's going to probably be too bright, isn't it? 3 point. Would it look better darker or brighter to the phone screen? Let's try it at full brightness. Right, is that easier or harder to see on there? I reckon that's harder, isn't it? So let's put that down to lower brightness. Still can't really see, but yeah, 3.6 rock guns. I don't use either Apple or Samsung. I'm on a Motorola. And then there's this one that some of you might get, but again, you're not going to be able to see the steam from the delicious steamed uranium they're having. Oh, that's cool, Dylan. Can you get in the bunker there, or is that all shut off? I'm on Android. The Motorola I'm on is Android anyway, but it's just a lot cheaper buying a Motorola. There's no way you can PM me as their shepherd, unfortunately, because I'd love to give you one because you've donated, but I don't think YouTube lets you PM random people, because I would just give you one, but what you could do, if you want to leave a comment on one of my older videos, what I can do is I can reply to that comment with a Discord link for you, and then hopefully you'll be the first person to see it, and then I can delete it as soon as you've seen it. That's the only way I can really think of doing it, because unfortunately YouTube doesn't use the old PM system like it used to, because in that case all I could literally do is click your name, send a private message to you, and then I could send you a Discord link, and I could do that to anybody else at Super Chats, but you can't really do that now. YouTube's changed their system. But yeah, if we can figure out a way to do it, I can certainly give people links who have done the live chat support before. Or, you know, because people asking if they buy merch, could I do it? And I'm saying, unfortunately, no, because with merch, it's on a completely separate site, and I don't process any of it myself. I just get a bit of the profits from it. Yes, I could, Shepherd. Yes, there is a way of doing that, isn't there? Right. What you need to do then, post your Discord ID on a comment on any of my other videos. Same for you, JimXY. Or, yeah, you can PM me on Discord, but I don't know if it will let random people PM me, because obviously I've had people send me abusive messages on there, so I don't. But yeah, if you leave your Discord ID on a comment, I can probably add you to my friends list on Discord, then I can invite you to the server. So yeah, both JimXY and Shepherd, can you just leave a comment on one of my other videos, and then I can sort you out an invite. Just put your Discord ID and then I can delete the comments so other people can't see it once I've processed it. Scar H, because I like 762 NATO. Hence why there's a foul in the background. I do have a Discord group, your mother, but it's set up for patrons. That's how I manage it at the moment. So it's like a patron reward, but people only have to give me $1 and I give them access. But unfortunately, recently I've had problems where people have pledged $1 just so they can get into the group and cause trouble. Because of, you know, all that stupid e-drama bullshit that I don't want to get involved in. Yeah, just do it that way, Shepherd. That's probably the easiest way of doing it. But that's how I'm just doing it at the moment, your mother. But yeah, as I said, I want to make it so more people can get in, because I'd love to chat with more people, but at the moment it's just trying to deal with, you know, like the kind of bullshit you have to put up with on it. Scar H again, because Scar H is 762 NATO, M4 is 556. Yep, well, it's Wiltshire, and I'm not actually in Wiltshire, but yeah, I've got the Wiltshire one, the War Emergency Guidebook. Yeah, and as I've said to people before, if they want to actually delete the dollar once they've pledged it, so as in they give me $1, then they don't have to follow it up any other month. So I'm perfectly happy to keep people in Discord for that. I only kick people when they're abusive or, you know, cause problems. Yeah, sadly I've only got one of my friends on there who's a mod and he never looks at it. So I basically have to just do all the modding myself, and then a lot of that is reliant on people taking screen caps and sending me PMs if people are causing trouble. Well, the thing is, Shepherd, if they cause problems, as I've said, I've just kicked them that way. And that doesn't cause a problem, because if they come in and start a problem, they can just be banned pretty quickly. It's just, like I said, there's no easy way of doing it as far as I'm aware, sadly, you know, that would get around the problem of people wanting to cause trouble. Yeah, I will add. Do you mean more tabs as in, like, there's the surplus discussion one at the moment in general? Yeah, I'd certainly add more different chat groups so people could stick more to talking about certain things if they wanted to. Right, thanks. As soon as this stream ends, I will sort out the thing with both of you. I'll do it as soon as the stream ends, but I'm going to be on for another 5 to 10 minutes if people want to go back to chatting about survival stuff. It's a bit like Ventrilo or that one of those sort of things, but a lot more fleshed out. It's like a group chat kind of thing. I've heard of it, but I've not really looked at any gameplay or anything like that. Yeah, that's fine, Shepherd. As I said, as soon as this stream ends, what I'll do is I'll sort both you and JimXY's one out. Yeah, I mean, that would be good, Mike, because if you're setting it up just for us, I don't think you'd have any trouble. It's only more of a problem when you let other people have access to it. But yeah, if you're just doing it with, like, me, Peach, Rich, and all those sort of people, I don't think you'd have any issues. No, I don't have DayZ standalone. I've got Armour 2, Armour, you know, the original Armour, Operation Flashpoint, Cold War Crisis, whatever it's called. I've got Armour 3, and I've started trying to get into Armour 3 now. I'd say machete, because you can do more of a machete. Like axe you can obviously chop stuff with, but a machete you can chop branches as well, and I imagine you can batten wood quite well with a machete. Alright, thanks Jimmy. But yeah, I mean, what I'd like is just more if people just said, could you do a board like this on the Discord thing? Then I'd be like, yeah, that's fine, as long as it. Like I said, I try and keep the edgy politics stuff off to an extent, just because I'm in the UK and we don't really have freedom of speech. But yeah, I've got COD 4. Yeah, I can set up a coffee chat tab. Telescopic battens are illegal in the UK, so don't try and bring it over, Shepard. Sadly, you wouldn't be, you know, you could get into serious shit if you did that. Because, yeah, extendable battens, I think, are totally illegal in the UK, whereas, like, non-extending battens are in, like, a weird grey area in the law. Just seeing if there's anything interesting on the shirt, but there's not. You can see where there's dust on it with a UV light. Yeah, you don't cause any problem, shot zombie, don't worry about that. Like I said, it's more just a weird thing. I know we're going off survival now, but the weird thing for me is, if you don't like my content, why just don't watch it? Is, you know what? Because if there's channels I don't like, I just don't watch their videos. But you get some people, don't you, seem to get this idea that they have to constantly try and harass people or whatever because, oh no, I can't let this person have their own YouTube channel. Oh, you mean like the little observation ones that are literally just a ladder weapon and survival, and then it goes into like a room or two rooms? Yeah, I've seen one of those, and I've seen pictures of lots, but sadly most of the ones near me have been filled in or like padlocked over. That's interesting, Peach. Which site was that email from? There's no problem with ceramic plates, they're legal. I've got a plate carrier, so yeah, you can get ceramic plates and put them in. You can buy them on eBay as well. But it might be cheaper, like Richard Weaponsmith said before, to actually buy a certain kind of steel. I can't remember what kind of steel he said it was. Like, buy it cut to a certain size, and it would work out cheaper than a trauma plate and be the exact same thing. I don't have a self-defense umbrella. Mike has one of those. If you're looking at that, that's actually an arming sword, and the GP5M's just covering the crossguard. But yeah, survival umbrellas are quite cool. It could have very well been an AR-500 steel plate. Well, I don't know if railguns are really all that common, are they? So I have no idea. I know the military's trying to develop them, but I don't think regular people will go around shooting each other with railguns yet, unless monoliths start invading. Well, we're just about finishing this stream, I'm afraid, Airsoft. Yep, you can legally own crossbows in the UK, just don't wave them around in public or do anything stupid with them. You can't legally hunt with a crossbow in the UK, they're just for target shooting, but you can have a crossbow at the moment, yeah. I've got a first aid kit in the car and a couple of first aid kits in the house that have bandages, plasters, certain tablets in them. But because I'm chronically ill, I have to have a lot of medication specifically for me, which is why I said before, like, I don't bother prepping for a lot of stuff, because if you're in a real doomsday scenario where you run out of medication, I'm so fucked, you know, it's not important for me. How exactly? Oh, I see what you mean, yeah, like... Or I could have one for gas masks, couldn't I? And then, like, World War II surplus, modern surplus. Yeah. Older history. Yeah, if you leave some ideas in the Discord server, then I can look into doing it when I've got a bit of spare time to do it. Yep, horse gas masks are a real thing, and dog gas masks are a real thing, but they're not so much a thing anymore. Because that was mostly around World War I, World War II, when some nations still had cavalry, that there was, you know, a purpose to that. But most modern nations, because they don't really use horses anymore, don't have any purpose for them. Right, thank you, Airsoft. Appreciate that. Cheers. Do you mean Viagra, Peach? Yep, are you doing Fallout 76 tonight, Mike? I'll definitely be watching. Well, for me, Dylan, it's because my health will just start deteriorating the moment I'm off the medication, because I can get flare-ups even when I'm on medication. So yeah, it would be basically like every month, you know, I'd just be in a worse and worse state to the point where in a survival scenario I'd die anyway, through like, you know, iron deficiency and all stuff like that. Because I've had to have iron infusions before as well at hospital when the ulcerative colitis has caused too much, like, has caused anemia basically. But yeah, if it ever got to a stage where I could not get any of my medications, there's no good natural substitutes. Okay, £35 each. Rich, that's not bad at all. That's cool. Do you have anything to display on Shot Zombie? My favourite gas mask big boy is the Avon CT12. Because as you know, I'm an Avon Shillen fanboy. And but I'm still waiting for my check, of course, from Avon because they haven't sent it yet. I'm not really. Wish I was. I wish I got paid to shill lots of stuff. That would be great if I got free money for saying, "Wow, look at this gas mask, isn't it great?" I don't quite get you there. Says comment that this is in chat. What? Cool. Go there and take some pictures if you're allowed to, Aiden. Yeah, I've got... The thing is, like, standard police Kevlar vests you can buy in the UK as surplus for like £40, give you, a lot of protection. Yeah, I've got Rising Storm 2, your mother. There was an update to that the other day, wasn't there? Can't remember what they added, but I know there was like a 20 gig update, or was it like an 8 gig update for Rising Storm 2? No, I don't even have every Avon mask at all. I don't have an FM53 or a C50. Or probably some of their other masks. I don't have like the firefighting or pilot masks. Ah, but the tactic is, Shepard, with that is to not be seen in the first place. So if you were a bit deeper in the woods, they probably wouldn't even notice you. Well, as we said earlier, Airsoft, the Discord's a patron-only thing. I'm going to PM the link to a couple of people that gave me super chats on this video. What country are you in, your mother? Because I know on your Steam page it says about knives and things because you can't collect guns. Are you in the UK or are you in another country with similar laws to the UK? Yeah, I've got an FM12. I keep my FM12, and this is relevant to the video, survival. My FM12 is in its carry satchel under the passenger seat in my car. So if ever there was something happened, I could literally brake the car. When I say brake the car, I don't mean smash my car up. I mean like press the brakes and get the gas mask on really quickly. Oh, it's more super when I get money from it, Peach, I'll say that. Yeah, I think you have Airsoft. Yeah, make a comment then. I'm saying the problem is because I've not established this as a rule before, but yeah. What you need to do is make a comment and give me your Discord thing, and then I can start sorting that out. But yeah, we'll have to make that like a new system. Because I don't mind inviting people that would rather use Super Chat than Patreon, but beforehand I've just had to use Patreon because I couldn't think of a way of doing it, but some people have given me some suggestions on this thing. Can you have them for like civil defence things though, your mother? Because don't you have like civilian militias in Israel, or am I completely imagining that? I've seen horse gas masks on eBay, I've just never bought them because I don't have room for them, is the main reason. Yeah, I know you've got lots of firearms in Serbia. Aren't you like ranked number 3 in the world for firearm ownership after America and Switzerland? Like per person. I've got a Serbian or Yugoslavian AK, but I'm not going to get it out now. It's sat down there. It is going to be a regular thing now, I reckon, Daniel, because I'm having no problem keeping up doing the 3 videos a week. So in my spare time, I'm just trying to stream more, because I'm getting more comfortable streaming, to be honest. And I'm enjoying it a lot more. But not every stream is at the same time of day, because I like to let people see them in different time zones. And as well, sometimes I stream video games as well as streaming stuff. Yeah, you can just about see the barrel shroud down there. I think you can see the RPK's barrel next to it. Anyway, I'll finish the stream now because it's an hour and 41 minutes, so that's gone on long enough. Thank you for everybody that's watched. I've really enjoyed this stream. Well, some days I could do them later, Aiden. Some days I could do them earlier. I've streamed quite a bit of Call of Chernobyl before in the past, Shepherd. I don't know why I started doing 8 PM as a regular time. I think it was just so I could get a stream in before Weapon Collector does a stream some nights. Also, do you want to see something else that's weird? E-liquids tend to glow under UV. I figured that out the other day. Let's just get that there so you can see it. Does that show up without the lights off? Maybe. I don't know if that's all that visible with the lights on, but it actually goes like a slime green colour, UV, sort of like vape liquid. Yep. Comment what you need to do, Airsoft Brogan, or just to show your comment, is airsoft your actual like Discord ID, and then I can try and add you to my friends list. You'll know it's me by the picture. Unless people start trying to imitate me on there, which could always happen, I guess. And yeah, then I can PM you, I can add you to my friends list, and then I can send you a server invite through that. And that's probably going to be an easy way to do it, because like I said, there's been a lot of people in the past that have given me quite a lot of support over live chats before, which seems a shame that before I've not been able to give them Discord invites. Whereas, you know, like sometimes people will pledge $1 on Discord, which is fine, I'll give them an invite, and then they're the ones that cause trouble. So yeah, what I'll do now is I'll end the stream. Thank you everybody, and thank you very much for the people that donated. Make sure you leave comments on videos if you've not done already, if you donated. Shot Zombies already a thing, I think everybody else has, haven't they, at this point. So what I'm going to do is sort those out ASAP for you guys, and then I'll be on Mike's stream for 10 PM. Did you say it was Fallout 76? Sorry, Mike, you were doing. Not really got any interest in live streaming Call of Duty, I'm afraid. I'm going to stream... Oh, I'll say this before I go off. I'm going to stream tomorrow. I'm not sure the exact time yet, but it could be 12 PM, 1 PM sort of UK time. And I'm going to stream some Mordhau, because tomorrow's video at 5 PM is Mordhau related, very Mordhau related, but it's an actual live video, not a video game video. Right, thank you. I'll be able to check the comments in a bit. I use PC, Daniel. Right, anyway, thanks everybody. See ya, and I've really enjoyed the stream. It's been a good fun one, so thanks to all of you.